Detail, attention! Forward, march! Left, 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 On the screen. People will call out here. Or
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And if you'd like, feel free to come up the stairs and form in. We have plenty of room over here to my right, your left. And if you need a chair, just let us know. We'll get you seated over here. Okay, we're getting ready to start. So if anybody feel free to move and come on up. You're not disturbing anybody. And I want to thank you for coming, so I don't forget in the end. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Kevin Jarvis. There may be a few here that don't know me. And I'm the Director of Veteran Services for the City of Malden. This is my 10th Veterans Day Parade. I'm very proud today to be a third-generation Malden veteran. I grew up across the street where the tennis courts are. And I'm also proud to represent all of Malden's veterans today as we honor our ancestors, neighbors, friends, family members who served in the military in this great country for nearly 400 years. And I'm proud to stand here in front of this monument, the World War I monument, with nearly 3,000 names of Malden men and women that served. And we're still serving 100 years ago now. They came back in 1919. Even though the war ended in 1918, they did occupation duty in France and in Germany because Germany was in chaos after World War I. So a lot of you have relatives here, as I do, on these plaques. And after the event, come up and take a look if you didn't get here last year. I want to thank the Malden Fire Department, Malden Police Department, and Military Honor Guard, DAV, and other veterans organizations for being here. At this time, I'd like a couple of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Remove your caps, place your hand over your hat, over your heart, or render the appropriate salute.
Present. Arms. Present. Arms.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now please stay in place, I'd like Dimitri Borrero, Malden High School senior, to come up and sing the national anthem. So stay at attention, please, and feel free to join in, only if you can sing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Excellent. Thank you, Dimitri. And you'll also remember Dimitri from last year, who led the whole crowd in the singing of Over There, a famous World War I song from 100 years ago. And a lot of people knew most of the words. I was impressed. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'd like to introduce your newly re-elected mayor for the City of Malden, a man who's very committed to veteran services. His father, Mr. Christensen's over here, Navy veteran of the Vietnam War, here to welcome his son, Mayor Gary Christensen.
Every November 11th, we honor our veterans and speak about how grateful we are for their willingness to put their lives on the line to protect our country. But our appreciation and recognition of their courageous sacrifice should not just be talked about on this day, but rather we should be showing our gratitude and doing all we can throughout the year. As they say, actions speak louder than words, and I am proud that Malden takes this to heart. Together with the City Council, we support the work of Veteran Services Director Kevin Jarvis by ensuring that every budget provides our veterans with the services and the resources they deserve. We also have several community groups and local businesses who donate and volunteer to make sure our servicemen and women have what they need. And we also work to make certain that future generations never forget those who bravely answered the call to duty by dedicating squares across the city and restoring our memorials. Just 1 year ago, we stood here together to dedicate and pay tribute to the Malden men and women on this memorial. And today, I am pleased to announce the formation of a committee to establish a citywide monument in honor of the warriors that served our community in Vietnam and Korea.
Yeah.
The goal is to have an unveiling and dedication on Veterans Day in 2020. I am grateful to those city employees who have voluntarily stepped forward to take the lead on this project, and I would like to acknowledge them for their efforts. They are Jim Cahill from our cemetery department, and he will be joined by Kevin Jarvis, as well as our city controller, Chuck Ranigan. Again, today, let's say thank you to all the men and women who have served and are serving our country. And let's also go beyond those words and show our respect and gratitude by doing all we can to support our veterans in making sure they are never forgotten. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate that every year, Gary and the city council members put together my budget, and we're the first budget that's authorized to help our veterans, their family members, and widows or spouses that are still alive with us. Even if the veteran has passed away, they're eligible for benefits. Thousands of dollars a year. The state gives out millions of dollars a year. It's state veterans benefits. A lot of people don't know we're the only state that does state veterans benefits until we can help people get service-connected disabilities with the VA or something. So that's very unusual, and Massachusetts is #1 in the country. So thank you, Gary. And at this time, I'd like to introduce one of those city councilors who always stands behind our veterans, was instrumental on the building and rededication of this monument with the new plaques, Mr. Edgeworth, Paul Condon.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone who took this morning to come to our beautiful World War I memorial and pay homage to the many veterans that served our country. I would at this time like to acknowledge my colleagues on the City Council, our state people, and the school committee people that came today. We have State Senator Jason Lewis, State Rep Steve Utrino. Of course, we have our mayor and our leader, Gary Christensen. From Ward 1, Peg Crow. From Ward 4, Ryan O'Malley. From Ward 3, John Matheson. From Ward 6, Dave Carmel. There he is, the godfather of the city council, Neil Anderson from Ward 7. I was going to blame Kathleen if we missed anybody anyways. But from school committee, from Ward 2, Rob McCarthy. From Ward 4, Len Iovino. And from Ward 8, John Froyo. At this time, I'd just like to thank all the colleagues that stepped forward here, helped us with this beautiful memorial, and please, have a good day today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have one more elected official to announce, to welcome. He's a man who's lived in other countries, came to the United States as a young boy, and now represents 6 communities, including Malden, as your state representative. Please welcome Jason Lewis.
Thank you, Kevin, both for your service in the Marines and as our Veteran Service Officer. And thank you to Mayor Christensen and the entire City Council for your strong and unwavering support for our veterans. And that's very exciting news that there will, within a year, be a new memorial to our veterans for our Vietnam veterans and our Korean War veterans. It is a great honor, along with State Representative Steve Altrino, to join you this morning as we express our deepest gratitude to our veterans and to their families, and to thank them for their service and their sacrifice on behalf of our country. This morning, I'd like to share a poem with you that I find meaningful on this occasion. The poem is titled Thanks, and it's written by an American poet and Vietnam veteran named Yusef Kamunakai. This is the poem. Thanks for the tree between me and a sniper's bullet. I don't know what made the grass sway seconds before the Viet Cong raised his soundless rifle. Some voice always followed, telling me which foot to put down first. Thanks for deflecting the ricochet against that anarchy of dusk. I was back in San Francisco, wrapped up in a woman's wild colors, causing some dark bird's love call to be shouted by daylight, when my hands reached up and pulled a branch away from my face. Thanks for the vague white flower that pointed to the gleaming metal, reflecting how it is to be broken like mist over the grass as we played some deadly game for blind gods. What made me spot the monarch writhing on a single thread tied to a farmer's gate, holding the day together like an unfingered guitar string, is beyond me. Maybe the hills grew weary and leaned a little in the heat. Again, thanks for the dud hand grenade tossed at my feet outside Chu Lai. I'm still falling through its silence. I don't know why the intrepid son touched the bayonet, but I know that something stood among those lost trees and moved only when I moved. Thank you, and God bless our veterans and their families and all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to make one announcement about the Korean War Memorial and Vietnam War Memorial. In the upcoming months, I'm going to be asking for a lot of information. There's no complete list with the state of Massachusetts of veterans of either wars. Basically, the list I have are those that applied for welcome home bonuses. Well, I never applied, and many others didn't. And believe it or not, those killed in action aren't on that list because they didn't apply. They didn't have the opportunity. However, I'm going to be seeking the names of all Malden men and women that served in the Korean War and Vietnam War. I have a list going now. There's about 1,000 each, maybe 1,500. That could be as many as 3,000 for each war, including my uncle, my brother, myself, my friends. So I'm really going to need a lot of help from the Malden High School Alumni Association, the school itself, on who went in the military, at what times, what dates. And, people like a friend of mine, Bob Hubauer, just died this week. He joined with me from Malden High School. We're the tail end of Vietnam War, but we are Vietnam veterans. And the war ended a year after we went in the Marine Corps. So there's going to be a lot of people that aren't even sure they're veterans, or they might think they're veterans, or they don't know they're veterans. So you're going to have to work with me. It's going to be a lot of work, but we're going to get it done, just like we did this monument here a year ago. So I just want to mention that. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the Malden High School Band to play a song for us called Washington Post. Take it away. For all of us to remember our family members, our neighbors and friends who served in the military. But we also cannot forget, and we must remember, the men and women serving in the military today. And to my right and left, you have some veterans that are now members of the Honor Guards for the Malden Police, Malden Fire Department, as well as the military Honor Guard over there. So I want to thank you for participating today and never forgetting. It's very important. Thank you. And thank you to all the veterans out there amongst you in the audience. I have two men that came here today. They're from out of state. One is a friend of mine, Jim Lowing, who helped unveil these monuments last year. He was the man behind the scenes, making sure we got those red, white, and blue tarps off. Jim served with me in the Marine Corps, and towards the end of the Vietnam War was assigned to the Expeditionary Force during the rescue of the hostages for the USS Mayaguez. That was 2 weeks after the fall of Saigon, considered the last combat action of Vietnam. Jim's standing right there. A year later, Jim and I were both stationed together in West Africa. And standing next to him is an American diplomat who was working at the American Embassy, and someone we looked up to, and he took care of us when we were overseas. Retired U.S. State Department official from Virginia. His daughter lives in Wilmington, teaches in Arlington. My friend, and the three of us have not been together in 42 years until this morning, Peter Burke. And yes, they're both veterans. Jim of the Marine Corps, but Peter's Navy, but we still invited him anyway, right, Jim? A lot of people that served in Vietnam, they did 1-year tours or 11-month tours. Peter served 24 months in Vietnam as a naval intelligence officer. And he's got a few stories, but that'll be for later. Anyway, thank you for both coming here today, both of you coming here today to honor our veterans. You know, in 1919, President Wilson commemorated the first Armistice Day with these words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations." Like I said before, many of our World War I veterans whose names shine brightly behind me didn't come home till 1919, 100 years ago, because they were serving as occupation forces and to help rebuild the war-torn nations. I will paraphrase President Kennedy when he said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men and women it produces, but also by the men and women it honors, the men and women it remembers, our veterans." Malden will always remember and honor our veterans, especially when I'm here. because their names on these monuments will shine brightly forever as a tribute to their service and sacrifice. Next year, we'll be adding 2 more monuments. We had 17 Malden men died in Korea, 19 in Vietnam. And just in the last 100 years, more than 350 Malden men and women died during wartime in service to this great country while wearing our military uniform. Over 350. The statistics are mind-boggling and very humbling. Again, I just want to thank Gary Christensen, Jim Cahill, and Chuck Ranigan, as well as the city council members who will help us fund those monuments next year. Malden always does it right. Like General Kondrachek said last year, he was the World War I commissioner for the state of Massachusetts. He knew of no other city and town that dedicated a monument to their World War veterans or honored their World War I veterans like the city of Malden did. And he was right. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like you all to come to attention, place your hand or hats over your hearts, or render the appropriate salute for the playing of taps by Malden High School students Wilson Chow and Shai Cohen.
Detail, present, presents,
I'd like the Boston Pipes and Drums play a song in tribute to those we have lost over the years serving in our military and all others from Malden and the great country we live in today. For the playing of Amazing Grace, please welcome the Boston Pipes and Drums. Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, I want to thank you all for coming to the ceremony today. I really appreciate it, and thank you for honoring our veterans, especially those serving overseas. We can't forget them today. These Malden men and women have served this great nation for nearly 400 years. And like all of us, the veterans, friends, neighbors, ancestors who never came home from war, defending the great country, the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. We humbly honor them today, and thank you very much for participating. Have a great Veterans Day. Appreciate it.